Hi everyone, and welcome to my first card making video. My name is Bonnie Crane and I'm happy that you've stopped by. Today's card will be featuring ink blending, masking, and Copic coloring. I will be using Simon Says stamp Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I like to begin any card by laying it out so I know exactly how everything's going to fit together. Because I have an ink blended background planned, I will be working on Bristol smooth cardstock. It is standard size 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I begin by stamping with Memento so I do not get any ink bleed when I color with my Copic markers. Because I will be overlaying an image, I'm first masking before I do my next stamping. I'm using another stamp platform to stamp the leaves. I will not remove the stamps from either of the platforms so that when I've completed my Copic coloring, I can then go back and emboss each of the images and have everything lined up perfectly. After the leaves are stamped, I'll mask those. You'll notice that the masks have been used before from another project. I just wanted to mention that it is important that those masks are cut a little bit shy of the image so that you do not end up having any white haloing when you start your ink blending. For today's card, I am going to be creating a bold background using Distress Oxide inks. I will be using antique linen, seedless preserves, chipped sapphire, and a little bit of black soot. I begin the ink blending process by laying down some color. I go back and forth between the colors, each time overlapping a little bit more and creating a blend. Because I wanted an intense background, I am applying a fair amount of pressure so that I have a high concentration of ink. I am applying a little bit of black soot to the bottom of the chipped sapphire. In this way, I get some gradient in that deep blue. I wish I could ink blend as fast as what you're seeing in the video, but obviously that's not the case. This has been sped up, but I do take quite a bit of time in this process to create a nice, intense, smooth background. I carefully remove the masks as I prepare for Copic coloring. I'm always careful when I remove the masks because I like to retain them. They can be used several times. When Copic coloring, I like to choose a light, medium, and dark tone. For this flower, I will be using RV 52, 55, and 69. You can choose to color your images light to dark or dark to light. I'm not sure which one is correct, but I always go dark to light. I just find it is a little quicker. When coloring, I always dissect my images. For this flower, I'm working one petal at a time. I apply one layer of color, and then I go back and apply a second layer, drawing up each tone higher into the flower petal. I use a feathering technique. The concentration of ink becomes less and then allows me to introduce my next color. When I start the next color, I use tiny circular motions so that there is a lot of ink applied, causing the two colors to blend together. I leave a little bit of white at the top of each petal to create a highlight area. When I draw up my lightest tone, then I will finish off using my colorless blender so that there is a seamless blend between the two. A few of the petals in this image have a furled edge. I'll finish off those edges using RV 52 and 55. I colored the center of the flower using the yellow marker and then followed with a series of dots using the RV tones. I used B37, 39, and 41 to color the leaves. Now to emboss the leaves. I pop the mask back onto the flower to protect it from where the two stamps will overlap. Because I left the stamps in the stamping platforms at the beginning of the process, I am ensured that when I stamp with Versamark ink, it is going to perfectly align with the stamped image. When embossing, I like to apply the heat beyond the melt, so to speak. I find that when I hold the heat on just a little bit longer, it really helps to smooth out those embossed lines. Because the flower image in this card uses colors that are similar to the background, I want to create a sharp contrast between them. I embossed both the flower and the leaves twice. The shine and dimension help the images pop. Now I've moved my base over to my other stamping tool where I have my flower stamp. It aligns perfectly with my image on my base, and I'm ready to follow the same procedure, embossing the flower that I used for the leaves. Time for an apology and a confession. This is the second time I have created this card. When filming the first card, I neglected to turn on my video so that I could catch the finishing of the card. And so I don't know how this can happen twice, but in fact it did, and I'm just not up to making this card for a third time. So quickly, I cut the base using Simon Says Stamps A2 thin frames. I took the middle portion and raised it with black sheet foam. I stamped You Are Loved with VersaFine black onyx ink. I embossed Happy Birthday on a smaller panel that I ink blended using antique linen and seedless preserves. I adhered that to gold matte cardstock and then mounted that on black foam as well. I finished off the card with a smattering of sequins, and in the center of each sequin I put a dollop of Morning Dew Nouveau drops. So that completes this card and my very first video. Thank you for watching, thank you for your patience, and I promise to do better next time.